Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of the How to Pitch Games podcast. I'm Corey from the Biz Dev and Licensing team here at tinyBuild Games. All right, it's episode 6, and if you're new here, take a second, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of our awesome pitchy stuff. As usual, we got 2 cool games to look at, and also a dope panel of wise nerds. First on the panel, a new tiny builder, producer extraordinaire Artyom Safarov. Artyom, welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey. So, Artyom, you're super passionate about game pitches, a vet of our Russian language pitch podcast here at tinyBuild. What are you playing these days now, dude?
Well, I know everyone expecting Seal Song, but I'm actually playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm actually at chapter 8, so I have a long way ahead of me to go. But yeah, I think it's one of the best games of the decade, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Nice, big words, and love the reco. Also joining us today is returning champion Tom Bryant.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I like the podcast. I like doing this. Can I ask Artyom, hey, what's better, FF7 or FF7 Remake?
You mean original or remake?
Yeah, what's a better game?
That's a trap. I'm not answering that.
It's totally a trap. There's no good answer.
Well, original game is obviously like, it's a staple, it's a masterpiece, it's everything. Remake did a lot of stuff different, right? And when we say remake plus rebirth, right? So they introduced, well, I'm not going to spoil for those who have not played yet, but they made a lot of stuff different. But I'm just enjoying. I enjoyed the first game, I enjoyed this one. Yes, some stuff is different, but I don't see it being any kind of a detrimental factor for the game. It's obviously both games are crafted with a great care and a great love for the series and for the characters, and you can feel it when you play it. So for me, it's like I'm just enjoying both of them.
I agree. It is the first one. You're right.
Yeah, I do have a question. Speaking of questions, love the FF7 Gush Fest, of course. But now for the pitch question of the day. Okay, guys, this is a controversial one, but I know you guys are going to have some good takes. What do you not want to see in a pitch deck? What do you not want to see? What should you not include? Artyom, you first.
I would say spreadsheets. I mean, I love spreadsheets as like any man, in this room, but I don't personally prefer to see them in the pitch deck because it's more like a presentation thing, and spreadsheets are more like on the serious side of things. So I would prefer maybe something like a chart or anything that is more visual rather than just a row with numbers and formulas in it.
Right. Don't take us out of the presentation mode to go into kind of like business analysis mode. We're here to kind of feel things and be wowed by your game. Excellent tip. Tom, what do you think?
I never read the lore in a pitch deck. There'll sometimes be a whole page of like, here's our world, here's our setting. I think it's great to have a sentence that's here's the tone, and a sentence that's like, here's what kind of game this is. Here's like what you can expect. But if you're telling me what happened in your world 50,000 years ago, it's not the time or place in a PowerPoint that you sent to a publisher to go into that stuff.
Yeah, I love that tip. I think also I would add to that, kind of like make the lore mysterious. Make me want to learn more about it, to play your game and kind of get into it. Excellent tip. Lore is skippable, but we love that you're building worlds. Very, very cool, guys. Okay, let's get into the first pitch of the day. Okay, guys, let's welcome Paolo from Monka Studios in beautiful Turin, Italy. Paolo, welcome to the pod. You're coming to us today with your hyper-stylized wildlife city deck builder, Wild City. And you got a whole array of cute but deadly animal characters here. My question, cute but deadly is such a delicious cocktail, and it's in so many super successful games. Obviously, Cult of the Lamb comes to mind. Why do you think we love this mix so much in games?
All right, that's a very nice question. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure. So I think that overall, there is inherent curiosity and interest towards animals in human beings. I mean, human beings are also animals, but that's another point. I think it's always been like that since the dawn of time. That's why humans have also been able to domesticate animals. I think there's something relatable about nature itself that makes people curious. Of course, everyone has different tastes and different range, but I think the incredible success that Pokemon had back in the early 2000s also proves just how creatures can be appealing and relatable. And I think the mix of cuteness and brutality is it's just like a surprise element that also plays with that kind of curiosity, because there's also this conception that animals are cute. Even the cutest animals out there have a really brutal side to them. So once again, it is inherently natural for us to see animals are cute, but actually animals can be really like the worst people on earth. I don't know if that answers the question.
No,
But
that's a perfect answer. Very very deep for this podcast. I'd be remiss not to bring up a little game called Hollow Knight Silk Song as well. So even bugs can be cute but deadly and command our attention and furious hype. So I think that's a good lead in to learning about your hype game, Wild City. So let's get to the pitch.
sure thing. Okay, let's go. So this is Wild City, a roguelike deck builder that we like to call an ecosystem builder. In Wild City, you will play the role of this runner-up mayor, rallying around town to gather funds for its electoral campaign and become mayor of Wild City. This game stands out in the crowd of roguelike deck builders because of its focus of the core gameplay not being around card-based combat, but strategic tile placement. In fact, cards are tiles that the player will place on an expanding hexagonal grid. Each of them has a specific effect that will interact with other tiles on the board. To give you an example, if a wolf is a sheep, the vulture will profit from its death, while a fly will spawn a larva on its corpse for the fly trap to eat. And all these kinds of chain reactions are really at the core of the fun of the game. And because it's inspired by nature, it is surprisingly intuitive and it helps a lot with replayability. In fact, we have almost endless source of inspiration and close to 300 cards in the game right now. It is a turn-based game, and the objective is to raise enough funds before the turns run out. In between each stage, the goal will increase, and the player will be able to do deck building choices, such as adding and removing cards from the deck, to more layered deck building, such as passive effects that stack on top of each other. Think of the relics from Slay the Spire, for example. On top of that, we have events, which will offer different kind of strategic decision making for the player, on top of giving a glimpse into the world and characters of Wild City. Last but not least, we have boss stages, which are particularly hard stages that will twist the game, shaking up the rules by adding obstacles for the player to improvise and adapt to. For instance, some tiles might be not available, or some cards might be less effective. In pure roguelike fashion, we have increasing numbers, incremental numbers. So players will have to really get accustomed with the game to find the right synergies to really break the game. The game is colorful. We want it to be easy to pick up and intuitive, but there is a lot of juice, especially for hardcore players that are really familiar with the genre and look for an experience with a lot of replayability. And we are confident that they can sink 100 hours into it. In fact, replayability has been the core pillar that we have built the whole game around. We have different mayors with different starting decks to offer different playstyles. We have a progression systems so that the player will unlock content by playing with different cards. And last but not least is the just natural procedural nature of the game, which will make each run different. To sum it up, we injected roguelike deck building staples into a strategic tile placement game and sprinkled cuteness and brutality on top of it. When we started working on this game, we looked at the Steam audience and we found that there is a preference for strategic depth and high replayability, which is the reason we decided to do a roguelike deck builder on top of the fact that we saw a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTubers really favoring this genre, which made us think that building a marketing strategy around it would work. In fact, when we put the game in the hands of Retromation, we had quite good results, scoring around 1,000 wishlists in 1 week. But most importantly, our Discord was flooded with people, and some of them even played more than 40 hours just in the demo, confirming the strong replayability of this game. In 2023, when we were working on this, we took some references to understand what is the specific niche that Wild City places itself in. So what we wanted to do was a game that offered a unique gameplay twist in roguelike deck builders, such as Luck Be a Landlord, but with a visual representation that was closer to Wild Frost. While Friends vs. Friends was just a case of a game that injected deck building in a non-deck builder and, of course, colorful animal-like characters. We are very close to release with just a few milestones missing, and that's why our budget ask is just enough to cover the remaining development costs. But what's more important for us is finding a partner that we can build a long-term partnership with, as we plan to make games for the long run. The team is made of just 3 of us, 2 co-founders being developer and designer, and 1 art director, which is not the co-founder and is the main reason why we really need funds to finish the game. Last but not least, I just want to give a little bit of an overview of the story of the team, because this is not our first game. In fact, we self-published Checkmate Kings in 2023. To tell you what the game is about, is basically high-speed laser chess. So it's a very fast-paced action shooter based on chess. And we decided to make it as a passion project while we sustain ourselves with our full-time jobs, just to see if we were able to do it. And what we learned is that we love making games. We are able to do it during our free time. And we definitely want to switch to a more sustainable model if we find the means to quit our full-time jobs and keep delivering great games in the future. And that's pretty much it. This is a recap slide, if that helps. And I'm eager to hear your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you, Paolo. Beautiful deck. Personally, I love the slide about, the game you shipped and what you learned. That's rare and a lot of fun. But let's kick it over to our wise panel here. Tom, why don't you hit us first with some feedback?
Hey, man, the first thing I want to say is that this game is extremely good and cool. There's it's super in the zeitgeist. It's super. It's got a great personality. It's really well produced. The deck communicates the gameplay really well. I got everything it was. The deck is paced well. It shows the game right away. There's 1 clear video of footage on the first few slides. It tells you what's different about the game and the genre. There's just everything about this. How long ago did you make the first version of this pitch deck? Because I feel like this is iteration 100.
All right. Thank you very much, first and foremost, for the feedback. So basically, we started the concept phase of this project around December 22, but it took until May before we had our first real version of Wild City. We went through crazy iterations based on the concept of ecosystems, basically. A replayable game that is an ecosystem builder. So I think that's around the time we started working on the first pitch deck, May 2023. And it took several iterations, not just on the pitch deck, but as the game was evolving, we had to constantly revisit the pitch. And it helped a lot to, of course, attend different events such as Gamescom and pitch it to publishers and gather a lot of feedback to really, really hone it and end up in the spot where we are successfully communicating what we want to communicate with the pitch.
Yeah, did you pitch it to a lot of people twice?
Yeah, it happened. It happened to pitch to the same publisher in 1 year later, yes.
That's good. I think that's a good idea. Matt, it really pays off because this looks great. I think all the games you mentioned are super relevant. Wild Frost, Look Be a Landlord, Doff Romantic. I can see those. And I liked, there's a slide where you implemented numbers being set on fire as they get really high. I feel like that should be on the Steam page. That communicates to players what kind of game this is and why they should be checking it out. That's a really good idea. I could dive into some other, I want to talk about key art a little bit and design stuff that's shining through. But Archim at tinyBuild, what's your first reaction when you saw the pitch?
So it's a fantastic pitch, and as Tom mentioned, it's not really a lot that we can say about it, about like what you need to improve here, because it gives a very good representation of what the game is. Design-wise, the composition is really, really, really good, and for me, it's like one of the best pitches definitely that I've seen, and well, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. I got a couple things I want to chat about for like, just maybe, I want to throw a couple things at you and just see how you feel about them. I'm just like quickly Googling because I know this has like a real Steam page. I'm interested to see how the Steam page looks. Okay. So if you go to like, I think it's the first slide where you have like the key art, like the promotional art for the game. I thought that was really interesting because there's so much stuff happening on it. Yeah. So there's parts of this that I really like. So this is presented as if it's like the promotional artwork for the game. I love the like Jekyll and Hyde wolf character. He's like cool and then he's evil. I think that's a clear story that's going on there. There's like a cool and evil guy, and it's cute and it's also brutal. I think you could kind of sell a game on that. But then there's so much other stuff. There's like a crying Daisy guy, and that's such a different tone from the wolf guy. And then there's like an anxious bunny rabbit, and then there's a bunch of other characters that I can't tell what animal they are or what they're doing. So I was almost really sold on this key art. I would say, and there's a policeman who's a dog. I think that's like a clear story. A policeman who's a dog, I think, is something that we can recognize. I would recommend with this key art, pick one or two characters doing one action and just make them be the stars. When I worked on porting a lot, consoles would recommend that you upload a background, a character, and a logo. And that's what you see in a lot of game branding, like whether it's like Ghost of Yotei or Assassin's Creed or Cyberpunk or whatever, you have a character and a background. That's how you really stamp a brand into people's mind of like, what's the tone of the game? What do you do and what do you play as? I think if you had like a police dog and a mafia wolf like chasing each other or being caught or just doing one action, and it looks cool, it looks fun and interesting, I think that can say Wild City a lot more impactfully than having 50 different characters on the screen. What do you think about that?
That's actually very, very interesting feedback, and thank you for that. So actually, I think that there is more than this problem, quote unquote, to the current key art actually. So for instance, the wolf is actually the same character, the Man in Black wolf and the Ravenous one, which is just a transformation that happens when a condition is satisfied for the card. And that was like one of the first cards that we concepted when we wanted to play with this cuteness and brutality mix and this contrast that really shows the brutal side of nature. Point is, with this key art that we created in, I think it was 2023, yeah, exactly around that time. It really works for the points that you mentioned, but one thing that really does not work is displaying the gameplay. There is no hint at all of the gameplay. While if you look at Wild Frost, for instance, of course, there's a lot of characters, a lot of things going on, but you can even see the hint of a card, and that suggests nudges in some way that it is a card game. At the moment, what we can see on this key art is that there is a lot of characters and there is a lot of interactions. As you can see, every character is interacting with one another. And it was basically the core idea that we built this key art around. But with time, we realized how, as good as it looks, it does not really convey much about the gameplay. And of course, all the different characters would not work, as you said, as well as a few really effective characters. And with time, we also thought of experimenting with not just the wolf, because, yeah, it was a nice first idea, but we should not stop just at the first thing that works. We should try to experiment more and see what resonates with the audience more. For instance, we saw that on Steam, players' cats are incredibly popular. So it made us wonder, maybe we should try with poster character that is actually a cat. And so, yeah, actually this key art is not final. And so we are trying to take all the learnings and experiment with some more new things for the next one. But thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, your Maya characters were cool. You had like a Maya cat who was like a fun design. I think as long as that character's doing something, like capturing criminals or building a city or something, I think you got it. One other thing I wanted to say about the design is that this type of game is a really difficult kind of game to design and pull off. Finding a balance between being too simple to be interesting and being too rich to be accessible, and landing somewhere in between that's like the perfect zone of a giant hit on Steam, is extremely hard. And I know you know that because you've been working on the game. So I can see there's tons of work in the interface and like UI and the way the game's used and the way it displays like deep spreadsheets of information. That's awesome. That's going super well. That's 10 out of 10. But I think decisions that were made on the game years ago, like 3 years ago now, like the decision for it to be a hex grid or the decision to have asynchronous units triggering on a off timeline and all these things, it's like core design decisions that set who the demographic for this game can be, and then no matter what you do with the interface or UI, if it wants to be civilization, then you can't move it somewhere else. Or if it wants to be, I don't know, look, be a landlord or vampire survivors, then you can only pull it further away from a little bit away from that. So I think this game might always come off as too complicated for players who are looking to like pull a handle on a slot machine 50 times in a row. And that might be the type of players that you're trying to catch. So I'm sure you could talk about that for like another hour, but how do you feel about where you land on who this is for?
That's a very nice point. Thank you for that. So I think one thing comes to mind when you mention all of this, which is how descriptive we want to be with the cards. For instance, there are some games that are really extensive and they have a lot of text because the target audience expects to understand every single specific of how a mechanic works just by reading the text, while other players prefer to a much more adulterated and simplified version of a description of the game, and because they like the action part more, they like to find out about the game mechanics as they play the game. And I think that's one thing where we have always been not 100% sure of what our target audience really wants. But luckily enough, I think the best way for us to truly understand where to land is just to play test and see what is the feedback that we receive from the players that show interest in the game and that, for instance, join the Discord and actively give feedback. I think that is like the highest indicator of what the game wants to be. And that's how we basically manage our the decisions that we want to make and how we match them with the expectations of our players. That being said, I think another good point that you made is that you have to know exactly what kind of players this game is going to attract. And the point is that we decided to make a game that is not just, okay, we take Slade Spire, but we change the setting and we add this mechanic. No, we try to make something that breaks the rules a bit more. So when you look at the roguelike builder, usually like the game screen, you will see two units facing each other with health bars and a set of cards to choose. And you will immediately recognize that is a deck builder that is like Slade Spire. I love Slade Spire, I want to play a game like that. In this case, it's actually not that simple because players will look at the screen and they will not know if it is a puzzle game, if it is a sandbox game. So I think that is something that we figured out as we were creating the game, as we were showing it to people, that there's actually a risk in trying to do something that is too unique because it's going to be harder to predict what your target audience, what the players that end up playing your game expect from your game.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a tough thing to land on. it's kind of the best answer to just keep listening to players, have an ongoing Discord, keep figuring out what the game wants to be and who's playing it. I could talk about this all day because I love the game. I want to just keep going on about it. Outcome at tinyBuild, do you have anything else?
I'd say that the art style is really great here, and I really enjoy your direction. For me personally, I might probably want to see more like, I don't know, maybe expected it to be more like the Cult of the Lamb direction, where it's a little bit more, dark comedy, dark something, rather than being that cute. But the fact that some like the animals have like two versions and sometimes they're really evil, it makes perfect sense to me. So I think you're doing very good job with this, the holistic experience that you're presenting to the players.
Something stood out to me as like I had to think about like what's missing from this game, because the pitch deck is so good. I could just open it and say the pitch deck is great right away. So one of the things was that the money in the game doesn't look like money, and it seems like such a instant win to make a bunch of like gold and silver coins splash out of all the guys and just kind of fall into a big money pile. Like maybe like the bar at the bottom is coins, and the coins look like coins and dollars and things, and you have like cash register sound effects and you do all the money stuff, because people have an inherent emotional connection to money and not hexagonal ring tokens. So, and I think that's one of the things is that when you have really addictive games, they often have like, you get $10, but then you get $1,000, and then you get $10 million. And that feels so different to people than saying you get 10 points or tokens or whatever it is in your fictional world. So yeah, I would, just to make this hit on like a deeper, more emotional level, I would replace any in-world currency with real currency and have like real coins and notes and things flying into like bank accounts with dollar icons on them. So how did you come up with having fictional money in the game?
Let's say that at first it was just all a journey and things emerged on top of each other, because at the beginning I wanted just to be an ecosystem builder. So it was more of a like God game. You were literally creating a world and putting animals in this world, And with time we experimented with different settings, different styles, and of course different artists as well, because we went through like a recruitment process. It was just a bunch of friends of mine that wanted to help on the project. But the thing is, it just came naturally as we decided to do something to show these characterized anthropomorphic animals and plants characters, to give it a setting, to give it a reason to be in this place. And so we came up with the concept of this world, just like very much inspired by like BoJack Horseman and many other similar cases, like Beastars. Like the world works exactly as it is, but there's not humans, there's only animals, and they have some perks that remind the user of what the animal in nature actually does. And so we came up with the idea of, okay, who is the character? The character needs to be someone important. So he's the mayor of the city. And what does the mayor want to do? He wants to tax people. So that's how we ended up with the money. And it kind of worked immediately because it is very intuitive and within the common consciousness to, as you said, relate score, points, success with money. So when you have all these coins flying around with the cash register sounds, it just made sense to make points, make the score related to money.
I think you're like this close to nailing it, but I would make the money look like real money, because I think having the progression feeling like you're going from $4 to $1,300 after playing for 45 minutes, it does something like very deep in a person's brain that makes them feel differently than having like the fictional money in your fictional universe. So that's weird design tip that I think would like changing one add file would like change how progression feels in the game. I think I'm
That's
not
very
sure,
interesting.
but I would try it out.
It doesn't cost much to try it out because at the moment it's not like it's so important what that coin is. But it's very interesting feedback because I have not heard it before, but I can definitely see why that works. So yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, because people are internalizing. I'm on this progression ramp where I'm going from 1 to 5 to 10 to 100. So they're already kind of doing that, but try a game where that's money, and I think you'll know that it feels differently. Just having you're playing Grand Theft Auto, having money that you never use, but knowing that you have $350,000 as you're running around feels different. So I would try that.
And if your goal here is to run a city, having that money, like the kind of corruption inherent in being like a wild animal, I think it is a bit of like a power trip as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Paolo, and the rest of the panel for your comments on Wild City. Really appreciate this pitch. Absolutely beautiful deck. It's rare to see a deck so beautiful. I want to echo the sentiment that when a publisher can tell that you've spent your time editing and refining a deck, it actually speaks a lot to like your development style as well, and the partnership that you can bring to the table. So excellent work, Paolo, and thank you for joining us on How to
Thank you
Pitch
so
Games.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
my pleasure.
Right, next up is Chunhui from TinBird, a cool studio out of Guangzhou, China. Chunhui, thanks for joining us today on How to Pitch Games.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool. All right. Well, you're here with your game, All Our Broken Parts, a cyberpunk narrative adventure where you play as a surgeon who operates on robots. Very cool. Curious, what are your influences from the cyberpunk genre? Maybe who are some of your favorite characters that inspired this game?
I love Johnny. I don't know his full name, full English name. It's from Cyberpunk 2077. And Johnny. Yeah, you know that. Yeah, I love this character. But for our Cyberpunk world, it's kind of different Cyberpunk style. So I'm not sure. I really take something from Johnny to our games. I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
Right on. Awesome. Okay, let's get to the pitch for All Our Broken Parts.
Hi guys. I just pitch game All Broken Parts, and I'm Chunhui from TinBird Studio, and we just take a video first. Okay, that's it. So Broken Parts is an adventure game where you play as a robot doctor to repair robots. Basically, the background is in a city of robots. There's something bad happened, and you need to some robots come to you. You need to explore their heads, bodies, try to find what's the problem, and there is the adventure story. So you uncover the hidden truths behind the city, behind the world, and behind the sickness. It's in Visual Novel games, adventure games, like whatever you call it. It's a storage, pixel art, cyberpunk, and this kind of games. So we plan to publish this game on PC and console. We use Unity and release in Q3 next year. And for first playthrough, it's about 6 or 8 hours. And we have a local publisher in China. We are seeking an international publisher now. The main loop is here. So in class, you examine and you try the robot come to you need to talk to them, find what's the problem of them, and you need to take part of them, maybe head, and you just try to use your plug to find what's the problem, maybe some deep research, and finally you need to get a conclusion what's problems of this robot, and you need to do some surgery. You may have to make some cruel decision and some important decision for them. Your choice may impact the character and may impact to the ending. Yeah. And beyond the price, the game is processed day by day. So you can depends on stories. You can still go another place, like you can go through subway. You can go talk with your friends. Maybe some your enemy could find you. There's adventure part beyond the class. And our USP first, I think, is a robot doctor fantasy. So it's famous because you can just directly talk to people who have played Cyberpunk 2077 and said, "Do you want to play as the Victor?" And there's some ritual style Cyberpunk. You can check some memory, you can check some interesting things. We got some interesting mechanism you can just play through, and it's fun. So it's fantasy is our first USP. Another is we got a sci-fi mystery narrative. So if not ending, you don't know what's really happened. There's a lot of secrets, a lot of things just to drive you to go into the story, try to find what's really happened. And we got rich layered characters. We got a lot of interesting characters, like first character here, which is artist, but it got impacted by the AI modeler. And we got marketing robots just use his tears to try to serve the customer. So there are a lot of interesting characters. We just brought some stories from our lives and try to make them to the interesting robots story. So I think it's be very unique. And for our target audience, I think there are 3 points I need to mention. First is the players who just enjoy dialogue, enjoy through try to know different characters, and they love some unique role-playing fantasy like like Robot Doctor, I believe, and some fans of sci-fi and cyberpunk setting. The players may love our games, and just players who love some mystery narrative, just try to find what's really happening in a game. And we do some research in our playtest. So a lot of our players have played Valhalla before, and a lot of our players have played Detroit Become Human before. So this is what we find recently. And for our audience interest, we published it's about 3 months, and we got 8,000 wish list. And from region, most of our wish lists come from Asia, and some come from America and Western Europe. It's because we didn't do any marketing outside China, except from Reddit. And the recent impact is in the past week. Since we started playtest, we gained about like 3,000 wish list, which is crazy. That's really surprised me. And for the playtest, we can have a summary. We got totally 900 players have played our playtest, and we designed for about 20 and 5 minutes, but the median play time is in fact is 29 minutes, which is price. So all the players enjoy the game. It's purely. We got some Reddit feedback, which is very positive, like just I just got to cry, or just ask if you can refer to Valhalla. So we just really encouraged by that. And for our community, we just do Reddit on West Market. So I just posted on the different subreddit. So we got some welcome, which is price. And for in China, we have Reddit, we have Bilibili, we have this kind of influence. And we are thinking about let me see, it's $100,000 in funding to support our development, and we need marketing support, and we need discoverability support, and we need some feedback on our game design and Steam page. Of course, we need console submitted support and QA localization and porting. we got a note that we already have a published partner. It's called G-Course, which is a famous media and publisher in China, um, for our published stuff in China. So we're seeking support outside of China. That's our current situation. And for our studio, TinBird, we got a cool slogan: "Take wings of steel to soar." I'm not sorry, my English is not so good. In the construction jungle. So we're just a tiny team based in Guangzhou, China. And me, I'm Chunhui, and my international, I used to name like Botfish. I used to work for Destiny Rising, this game, and our friend Sims and our Nostalgic are working on the Destiny Rising together. So we're close friends. We even roommated before. And now, after we leave this project, so someday go to the Arknight, someday go to the I don't know the English name or how to read. So, and we just regroup and try to make some interesting games. Yeah, that's our background. If you're interested. Yeah, basically that's all. That's all. If you're interested in us, welcome to the contest. Thank you.
Thank you, Chunhui. Really cool pitch. Let's kick it over to the panel for their thoughts on all our broken parts.
The clinic slide, I think, is or the third or fourth slide is okay. The clinic loop shows like most of our like gameplay elements. But yeah, let me first thank you. This is a fantastic pitch, and it feels like the game has a personality, has a soul, and it's not just a copy and paste from just the other similar games or something like that. It looks nice. My first question is, you call them robots while they're clearly androids. So why are you not calling them androids?
Yeah, that's in fact it's a secret. Can I see that? It's a secret. Yeah, we cut the robot. Yeah, it looks like human. So a lot of players ask them, why. So are they human before, or is that just yeah, just we can't answer. I can't answer this question. So I know it's kind of weird, but we will explain later in the game. Yeah.
Okay, as long as it has an in-game explanation, I'm fine. My probably biggest question is, while you were showing in the trailer, by the way, cool that you brought it up, the trailer, all the like most of the gameplay interactions and mechanics. I'm interested is how like deep is the diagnosing and surgery mini games. How like do we interact with the robot, with the patient? Can we like misdiagnose them, or make a mistake and they get hurt, or they
Okay,
like,
okay.
I don't know, something like that? Is there any impact in these games?
I got. So for example, let me just for this character, let me go to okay, maybe for this character.
Yeah.
So you can check his modular. You can go to his eye to see what his word look like in his eyes. When you find this, he can't see the color, but there's some glitch, so she can see the color, and you just trying to find out why, what caused this stuff, and later you find, oh, it took his memory. So his memory is trying to make his eyes to color, because his eyes are lost color. So his memory to transfer some data, try to make him to see the light again. But that is a bug. That caused a lot of a problem. So you have to fix this. There's one choice. You can just cut the line to just solve this problem. You can just give him some medicine, but this medicine have some side effect. So you got some choice in this process. And for mini game, there's not so much challenge. So we don't, or I can see that it's not our purpose to put challenge in this mini game. But if it's need, if the story or if the feeling needs some challenge, we'll do some challenge. But that's not our purpose. So we do this stuff is for better a better way to just know these characters and have some strong feeling about the character. Because if you can see what's the word in his eyes, in her eyes, you just have a strong feeling, and you just want to solve this problem. That's our for our design choice from this perspective. Yeah.
Okay, so there's only one outcome of this mini game. We can't like have a bad outcome when we just misdiagnose or mistreat them, or do something wrong, to put it simply, and then there's an outcome on how, like, their mood, their relations, I don't know, maybe they will come back later with some additional like problem and complain that we didn't, like in Valhalla, when you give her when you make one customer drunk and overly drunk, and then she can come back the next day and then yell at you and say that accuse you or something like that. Is there something like that here?
Yeah, you mentioned alcohol in Valhalla. That's very interesting, because most of the time in Valhalla, you get a limited choice, but at least you got a choice to use alcohol to make a choice. So to just impact on characters. We got for our main game, we got some impact on that. In our future design, we have something similar to the alcohol. So it's kind of like there are 3 modulars. You can check each one's content, or I can see, for example, 3 memories, and because some problems, you must cut some memory from his body, but you can choose which one you can save. It's may just change his person. So it's may like what's the most important thing for his characters. So we got some impact, but it's not it's not system. It's not so. It's kind of like echo, but it's kind of different. That's what I can say for now.
Okay, so if we have this kind of, if we make these solutions in the game, then it would totally deserve at least a mention, to be mentioned in here, or when we just talk about this on maybe on separate slide, because it, like, people in this game, they look for the opportunity to connect to the characters, to have some sort of relations with them, friends, or I don't know, romantic, like get emotionally involved with them. So if we have a situation where we can decide which memory we cut out of this character and which we stay, it's a huge emotion. It can have a huge emotional impact. So it's something that you want to use and showcase as much as you can, especially when you pitch this game to the publishers, to those who work with similar games and so on, to even to your audience. You really want to have that. Sorry, to include that in the pitch.
True, that's true.
Tom, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I had a similar feeling. I also thought, I guess I should say first, this game looks really good. Like the artwork is so pulling me into the world. I'm so excited about opening people's heads. And there's like, even on this screen, you have like medical equipment pulling open wires. That's so good. And you go into the back of the guy's head. It all looks really amazing. I think people who like these types of games are going to super love this. I had the same feeling as Artyom, where I couldn't figure out exactly what the scale was of how interactive these scenes were. Because you have some games where you have games like Trauma Center, where you're like trying to succeed these scenes or failing them and they're difficult. And same with the next, and then you have other games where they're more just interactive videos, kind of. And in the next slide too, it says, I think the next slide is called Beyond the Clinic, and it talks about visiting characters in between surgery, and like you have like a calendar of days and you're deciding what to do on those days. It sounds really cool, but I don't know if that's something the scale of like how it would look in Persona or how it would look in Citizen Sleeper, or if it's, again, just kind of like a linear adventure game where you would hit the same beats that every player would hit. So it sounds great, but it would really help to, in the pitch, outline how these loops look in like a product sense.
Yeah, that's true. This part is kind of just unclear. For the scale, for the calendar, it's not like Persona. That's so. It doesn't have so much so many freedom. So most of the time, it's just drawing by the story. So yeah, like you said, every player just go through the same things. They may have some choice, they have some story. That's things, and but we still explore. We're still not sure because the game is in development. So we're pretty sure that some part or most part of this things will be story driven, purely story driven. Every players go through thing, but we're not sure if in the future design we find out that we have ability to let player to just have some freedom to have some different choice, and we still explore this. So I'm not sure if we will have this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It sounds really good. And writing a pitch is sometimes a balance of using language that's the same kind of language you'd use to pull in customers and like make the game sound exciting and like you want to play it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, using language that you would use with a business partner where it's like very much a product and here's exactly what type of product it is and what demographics are and where money's going and stuff. So this pitch super succeeds in like selling me on playing the game as a player. And as a publisher, I was like had a few questions about what I was getting into by the end of the pitch. And you'd be in a really bad spot if you upsold a publisher on like how open and decision focused the game was. But then as you worked on it with them 6 months later, they would say, oh, this isn't the game that I thought you were going to make in the pitch. That would be a really crazy scenario to be in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's really good though. I was still really excited about it.
Thank you.
I had another note I wanted to mention about when you ask for the budget funding on the game, you ask for $100,000, and that's cool. But there's just one tiny tip is that for me, reading it as a publisher, we think about spending money differently, whether it's being spent on developer salaries or being spent on marketing or porting or like a lot of different things, because different publishers have different strengths. So they might be able to spend $100,000 differently, whether it's on people's salaries or on assets or on social media or trailers or putting a localization or whatever it is. So it's really useful to give the publisher an accurate sense of how they can contribute to that. If you just label, we need $100,000 and it's going to be spent on this, and this.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I should do that.
Okay, nice. Artyom, anything else you were thinking about the game?
Well, speaking of budget, I think it's okay to just mention where it goes. You can even have just a simple pie chart, like this is software, this is design, this is code. But yeah, avoid requesting the budget for the marketing and other services that publisher typically provides.
Okay.
You only care about the services, the funding that you need for you and your team to make the game. Everything else is usually funded by the publisher and is a part of the publishing deal. So we have several opportunities morning, midday, and at night to meet friends. First of all, again, it's not like I don't clearly understand how linear these pieces are. Can we choose? And for example, we can choose between like visiting character 1 and character 2. So if we visit character 2, we miss the opportunity to talk to character 1 in this scene. So when we complete the game, we might want to think that maybe there is another ending, and I want now to prioritize different characters and build their relationships and go differently. Is there something like that in this game?
For now, no. Yeah, for now, it's most of the time it's linear. You just have choice in the certain situation, but maybe you don't have a choice to. You may choose friend A or not friend B. Yeah, I kind of get that. So in the game structure, the main loop is kind of unclear, so it's got some misunderstanding. Yeah.
Okay, just the recommendation. If you plan to have something like that, it won't hurt, and it will probably downright be beneficial to put it in the game because in the pitch, because it signals the replayability, and in most of this game, even when you reference Detroit, so you go one way with Detroit, you meet one character, so you make one decision, and then you see there is a different line, different thread that you have not experienced, then you want to replay again and go different way. So if this is the case here, it will be highly beneficial to include in the pitch. and thus you showcase that it's, we have this, relationship with the characters and outcomes, and depending on whom we prioritize, we can see these scenes or we can miss these scenes, and then the players want to play it again, because again, you mentioned the first playthrough. You mentioned like 6 to 8 hours for the first playthrough. So that's why I was thinking about if there is a second playthrough, maybe there is a way to build this thing differently. This is my like immediate impression of the game. I would also probably mention that going from this to just overall comment about the game, I would say that the whole scope of the game and how it's open-ended and how it's non-linear or linear is still not entirely clear. I would probably try to make this more refined and to communicate it better, because as Tom mentioned, it can look like this game is more non-linear or just have some opportunities for different endings and replayabilities, at least at the Valhalla level. But if it's not there, you should just be very, very direct about this and just say, hey, this is the game. You just, you complete these linear scenes, then they end, and that's it. You just have this one-time experience. It's not bad. It's just something that it's better to communicate. I would at least like to know that before we sign it.
Yeah, now I realized I should make it clear. Yeah.
Probably another thing that I won't mention is that you mentioned different social posts, and you also mentioned Steam page, and there is no link to the Steam page in the presentation.
Oh.
So it won't hurt to have, and it won't hurt, for a publisher to check the Steam page. We can probably even do that today. I'm not sure if we have or don't have time for that, but we usually check the Steam page as well if you already have it. So it's it's fine to have. It won't hurt. That's pretty much most of all I most of everything I wanted to mention. Tom, do you want to add anything?
No, I think it was good. There was no link to the Steam page. I don't think there were links to the social media pages. I think there were screenshots of them, but then I'd have to go find each one myself. Yeah, just really simple stuff. There was something I was going to mention. Oh yeah, I don't know if this game would come out 1 month from now or 18 months from now. So I don't know if the stuff you're showing me is like close to final or still in pre-production. Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh yeah, you're right. Is it there? Oh, good. Okay, then you already got it. Then I'm an idiot.
It's just to Tom's defense. It's most of the time we have like this separate slide which just says timeline and has the timeline chart. When you say like this Q1, Q2, Q3 and this is the release, and that's what eyes are trained for usually.
True. In fact, I have one, but today I added it just I don't have time for that. So yeah, that's true. I actually have that.
Why it's also helpful, not because publishers just want it like us. It's because we can also see if you can have a demo, for example, when you're planning to have a demo, and this like easier to envision the possible like marketing strategy, marketing like timeline for the whole project, not only the production. When we can see like this is when we are going to have the demo, so we probably have this kind of event. We can go there and there. This the reason.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention about the budget is that I don't know if the budget that you cited would be a small fraction of the overall cost that it takes to develop the game, or if it would be like half of what it costs for the game, or if it's totally outside of development, or if it would be most of the cost of the game. But that would definitely be something that a publisher would ask right away, because it helps them understand what kind of impact they're having on how the rest of the project would get finished, or like how responsible they would be for the kind of work that happens on the project. So I might mention in the pitch deck that you already have a certain amount of funding, either from yourself or from a different partner, and here's the other side of funding, and some relation between like where those would be.
True. Yeah. That makes sense. I should add that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something that I thought to myself, that's one of the first things I would ask. But also, a couple of these, as we talk about like what's good to have, like very clarified in the pitch deck, I also think sometimes it's good to kind of hint at something and then invite the publisher to ask about it. Just say, hey,
Okay.
here's like the top layer of this information. I think it's maybe kind of good what you're doing in having like, here's the top layer of information. There are obviously questions, and let's have a call to talk about them, because I would say like 99% of the games pitches that get sent to publishers don't get meetings. So if you have artwork and a game and gameplay that looks this good, I'm seeing it and I'm excited about the game. If there are clear questions for a publisher to ask, it's maybe good to not completely 100% answer everything. So even though I'm giving like what my first questions would be, I actually think if you're building a pitch deck, it's kind of good to sit where you're sitting and like fill out the pitch deck 90% and then have a slide at the end that says, I'm open for calls. Have a call if you have any questions. If you want to know this, and this, like talk to me in a meeting. That's really good, actually.
Oh, that's something new for me. I learned that.
I mean, I've reviewed like thousands of pitch decks, and I used to be the person who decided whether we would have a meeting or not. And these are the kind of pitch decks that would actually work on me, where the game looks so good and I'm missing 20% of the information. So that's really what inspires a publisher to write an email that says, hey, I have to get on a call with you. Can you talk to me tomorrow?
All right, great feedback, panel. And Chunhui, thank you so much for coming to us with your cool and creative cyberpunk game.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Good luck with the launch. The game looks great.
And that's a wrap for this episode of How to Pitch Games. We had some great pitches today. Thanks again to all the developers for sharing their work. Remember to show these devs some love, guys. Give them a follow and wishlist those games and get them on all their socials. If today's episode got you thinking about pitching your own game, we've got a great way to help you get started. We're thrilled to announce our partnership with DevGam, the host of Online Pitch, a monthly review session on their Discord server. It's a great way to get private, constructive feedback from industry professionals before stepping out into the spotlight. And the best part, the winner of each session will get a chance to be on this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us for more updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on How to Pitch Games.